you all so much for coming. I'm just going to minimize you there a small little bit now so I can actually see. Right. Okay. So, thank you. This Lunch and Learn. So today it's about the culture of your company and the team. And for me, I'll go back. I'll introduce myself properly. My name is Valerie Finnegan-Cahill. I've been in business for 23 years, and my salon, Icon Hair Cork, is a multi-award-winning company with a reputation for excellence. The salon business, like any other business, I feel can be really tough at times. But for us, it's not just about developing the creative side of things and the skill. It's also about developing the right culture, retaining a strong team, and keeping delighting our customers, but doing all of this consistently. So how do you manage all of that when you're actually working in the business at the same time? Well, in truth, the truth is really up until probably the last 5 years, I wasn't managing that. I'm a little bit closer now, I feel. So today I'm actually going to tell you my story as to how I got from where I was to where I am now. And all of that kind of really happened in the last 5 years. So I think I'm going to share my real life experiences, my challenges, my highs, my lows. I think for anybody out there who has their own business, manages a team, is working, like maybe working on their own, I think there's something in it for everybody, even for somebody, particularly for somebody who's starting up. Because if I had listened to this, if I had gotten this right at the beginning, it would have saved me an awful lot of pain in the long run. As I said, I am at this 23 years. Okay, so I will say to you lads, I'm going to be hopping in and out of kind of like looking at my notes and stuff like that. I'm very new to this. It's my first ever presentation, so I am like a wreck. There is only water in that cup. I wish there was something else, but I'm going to kick off now. So I forgot I have slides. Okay, so that's who I am. So yes, I am a business owner. I'm a hairstylist. I'm a mentor. I'm an educator. I'm a plasterer. I'm a biker, but that's another story. We won't go into that today. Our company has won lots of awards over the years. And I'm going to go into the backstory now of my journey through the last 23 years with the company and with the team. So I opened Icon in 1997. And when I did, I always remember the effort and the time and the energy that I put into like the decor, the logo. I had sleepless nights. I nearly drove my graphic designer mental. The color of the paint that we were picking, all of these things, I painfully thought through them. But if you asked me why I wanted to open up my business, what was the driving thing behind it? That was a little bit more vague. It wasn't as clear as the color of the paint on the wall. So I suppose if I thought about it, I wanted creative freedom. I wanted freedom in the decisions that I was going to make, in how my team was going to develop and how I was going to educate them. And I wanted financial freedom. I'm still working on that one, mind you. Still, we're getting there. But most of all, I wanted a happy team working in a happy environment that wanted and looked forward to coming into work. And I was going to create that space. It was a time of the Celtic Tiger at the time. So we were working happy away, doing what we were doing. Everything was in abundance. So our team were kind of coming and going. But in 2006, I wanted to have a little bit more stability and a little bit more structure around the business and around my team. So I took them on an extensive training course where we looked into it was 2 years in London. We did customer service training, business, and we set Like we did goal setting, business goal setting, personal goal setting. We worked on industry standards. So look, we were flying high at the time when Icon was in Princess Street. We were a very successful salon, we had a very successful team, and we knew why we came to work, because we'd been working on all of this all of the time, and it was fabulous. So in 2011, I decided, like in the middle of recession, that we could no longer kind of keep our team on the first floor in Princess Street, and we needed to go ground floor and have a little bit more exposure, which was quite challenging at the time in the middle of the recession, but I had a great team and I had a great business and a great salon. So we set everything up to move in 2011 down to Oliver Plunkett Street. I didn't know that 5 of that strong team who we had developed together, we had learned everything about customer service, and we had it all between us. I didn't know that 5 of them weren't going to be coming to the new salon. 3 of them opened their own business, and 2 of them didn't come because of injuries. Now, that to me was the big, like, it was a huge blow, because like all the knowledge, everything that we'd worked on for the last couple of years, literally didn't come in the door. It came in the door with me and a very young team who really hadn't got, they hadn't been immersed in that environment with me. So I literally opened the doors of Oliver Plunkett Street with a brand new team. Now, I suppose mentally, psychologically, that really threw me, for the simple reason is all of the investment had gone. Now, as a salon owner, now I would, like, it's something that you aspire to, that somebody is going to have enough knowledge that that they feel that they can open up their own business, and they want to do it in the way that they've been doing it with you, because they have respect for that. What I didn't factor in was that the culture that we had developed in that salon hadn't been locked down. So that culture walked out the door. I don't know if that makes sense to people, but it went with them. So at that point, I took a back seat. I didn't have the energy to actually develop the team again and put the effort and the passion and the emotion back into the new team. So I left Icon and Oliver Plunkett Street literally fly on the coattails of its success for 3 years. Yeah, it's a hard thing to admit, but I actually did. I just couldn't bring myself to start all over again. But in February 2014, I fell off my shoes and broke my ankle. And 2 days after my 46th birthday, I decided it was time to start again. And here I am telling you my story and forgetting about my slides. Okay. So I knew, because I had been out of work, I had nothing to do except for sit and wallow in self-pity as to like how it all went wrong, you know, and you know, what literally, I was wallowing, to be fair. So at that point I said, right, you make the decision now. You either start again and you commit, or you walk away. So I decided it was time to start again. I knew from sitting at home for a couple of weeks, it was the first time. Sometimes I think, you know, we get stopped. We get stopped to actually figure out what we want. I came into work while I was out in my crutches. I'll always remember it. In my crutches, I held a meeting and I sat in front of the team and I apologized I apologized for letting them down, for not being the leader that they deserved, for just taking that back seat. You know, I didn't take my foot off the pedal. I actually got out of the car. And they didn't deserve that. And I had to admit to that. I remember I got quite emotional over the whole thing. And I think the team understood when I explained how I felt. And they were ready to start again with me. So it was so good. So I think this is really like you are the leader. So if you are responsible for a group of people, it's your job to lead them. So you either lead them or else you become a follower. You just walk away and, you know, work for somebody else, or just get out of the way. You can't go back and change the beginnings, but you can start where you are and change the ending. So I wanted to start again and change the ending. Sorry, no lads. Where can I see you all again there now? Anyway, so Angie, this is now where I'm going. Okay, tech, so participants, right?
Yes.
Okay, I knocked off everyone off my screen. Okay, so I keep going. So where am I? So we had all decided, myself and my team, we were going to start again, right? During that time when I was sitting at home and I broke my ankle, I really figured out what my why was, why I wanted to start again. Listen, lads, I've been on so many courses. I've sat there and nearly had to come up with what my why was. You know, I was sitting there with my pencil and I go, you know, you need to start fighting, you know, what's your why? Write down your why. And I'm looking into space, looking for divine inspiration. It's not until your back is against the wall or you're desperate to figure out what it is, but only you can do that. But that's the starting point in developing your culture. Your why is your vision. So I came to my team, I sat in front of them, I told them how I felt, how I was going to fix it, and what it was going to look like when we had fixed it, because I was stepping up to the plate. I hope this is making sense to you. So your why is your vision, and it has to come before the plan. So that's your vision, but your why has to come from a place that if it gets messed with, it hurts. So it has to be that strong. Your why has to be that strong. And you have to believe in it, otherwise your team can't believe in it. You must become the guardian at the gate and fight for everybody who believes in your why. So you fight hard for your team and your business. So where are we now? How are we doing for time? That's my biggest, what time is it, right?
We're on 20 past, so 40 minutes.
Okay. Angie, how can I, lads, I'm such an amateur at this.
Do you want to see people?
Yeah, because I feel like I'm just talking to the screen. I need to see people.
It should be in your top.
Participants, security, sorry lads.
You might only be able to see the list of participants, but if you go into the top right hand corner, do you have a button that says view?
View? No.
If you don't, it could be because you're sharing screen, so you might not be able to see people while you're sharing screen.
Perfect.
But if you want to see who's there, you can click participants and everyone who's here will pop up in like a list.
Okay, perfect. No, I don't. It's fine. It's grand. All right, lads. Okay. So I love this quote. Finding your why is a process of discovery. So we started on this journey, myself and the team, but I became increasingly frustrated by the small things that weren't being done, the things that weren't being implemented. You know, we all had agreed on the same thing. We were all going in the same direction. But my God, every now and again, I lose it. And I said, God, why are they doing that? They know they shouldn't be doing that. And I had a business mentor at the time, and I explained the situation to him. And this was really key for me. He said to me, Val, he said, the next time you come back, he said, I want you, he said, when you're in the salon and something happens that irks you and you go, that's not what we're working towards. He said, ask yourself at that point, he said, 3 questions. He said, are they doing it because it's a skill issue? Do they need to be trained up? Is that it? Is it knowledge? Have they not been told? Or is it attitude? So every single time I got that like, oh, or do I have to do it myself? Or, you know, how many times do I have to tell them? I asked myself those 3 questions, and invariably it came back to knowledge. Every single time was knowledge. Well, not every single time, but the majority of the time was knowledge. So it was something I needed to fix. Okay, so you're getting a little bit of an insight into my little mental brain here. I do a lot of mind mapping. So this on the left-hand side is kind of where I was when I decided I needed to sort everything. So I was up against a brick wall. You know, I was the hamster on the wheel. You know, I didn't know whether the team were with me or how many of them were with me. Time was running away. My family, I wasn't getting the time to spend with them. And this circle here is like money coming in, money going out, money coming in, money going out, and was there anything there for me? So it was quite bleak. So I had to really, really define what my why was. And my childish little drawings here, this is my vision map. This is everything that I wanted in every single element of my business to be. And I shared this with the team. But what it did show me was that we needed systems, we needed processes around everything that we did in order to be able to communicate, and that in order so that I wouldn't be stuck with that. Is it a skill? Is it issue? Do you know what I mean? Is it attitude? So that's when the real journey began. Now, where am I now? Okay. Okay. So, as you can see on the statement from Simon Sinek, it's a process of discovery. It was unfinished, not invention. I had to discover, if you go back here, I had to discover what my why was by really being brutal and going, really internalizing and saying, what am I doing? What do I need to do? So your why cannot be made up. It should be something, like it should not be something that you pluck out of the air on a course day. Your why is your internal compass when it comes to steering the ship, and it keeps your people steady. Yeah. Your why gives your team a direction. Without a strong vision, your team don't know why they're actually turning up for work. They're just turning up for work. I miss voices. I wish you could actually. We'll open up the mics afterwards and we can have a chat about this anyway. Our mission statement is the goal that we are always working towards, our focus, our commitment. So our mission statement captures our core values and guiding principles. And it's how we do things in Icon. So our vision is to be recognised as the #1 salon in Cork to be a client of, to work in and to train in. Our mission is to provide a great service in a warm and welcoming environment where clients and employees are able to inspire, learn and work together, creating a strong, supportive Icon family. These are really, really important, lads, and it's It's something that your team have to believe in. So when I say the mission or the vision comes before the plan really is the mission. That's what you want to happen. So I'm just getting my notes for my next slide. Lads, I hope this is okay. Angie, am I okay for time and everything?
You're good.
Good. Right. Is everybody still alive with me? Good. Right. Now, okay, my notes. Sorry, lads, a little bit of a pause. I'd love to say chat amongst yourselves, but I know you can't. Okay. Alrighty. So, the strong values. Now, Dave Barry is sitting in the audience there at home in beautiful Spain. So, when I'm going to bring you into the next page now to explain this. So, your people and your business are a reflection of you. 3.5 years I spent putting this book together. It encompasses everything that is Icon. Everything from our operational, so right from the start, the vision, the mission, the values, our core values, everything. I had been working on this for, as I said, 3.5 years. Dave contacted me and I showed him what I was doing and he said we should collaborate. Now, this is what I love. I think you should always be, like, I was quite proud of what I had. I put a lot of work into it. We had 13 values that the whole team sat in a team meeting and made together, because these were the core values that were important to them and us as a team, all 13 of them. Dave said, Val, it's fab, it's absolutely brilliant, but your core values needs to be like embedded in the team. They can only really be max 3, because you need to be able to pull on them. You need to know them. You need to know them inside out. They hold up your business and they hold your team together. And if there are too many of them, you're not going to be able to remember all of them. So they don't become as important. So I met with Dave and I decided to close the salon down. We closed at 2 o'clock in the middle of the day. We went to the Maldron, hired out a room, and we did a workshop with Dave's company, Connection. I have to say it's probably one of the most important things that we did in defining our culture. Our culture, there's so many different moving parts in a culture, but the values and getting the values right from the beginning and getting the buy-in from the team is so, so, so important. But the buy-in is only strong if it comes from them. So on this day, it was amazing to watch the team. They argued, they fought over like what, you know, this is important, this is important. We finally ended up with our 3 values. And they are literally embedded in our team. So we have pride, integrity, and education. And we have 10 commandments, which are now code of practice. It was one of those shifts in the company, I think, that defines us, because everything we do, we hold up against these 3 values and we ask ourselves, is there pride in that? Where's the integrity in that? Do you know what I mean? We're always learning. We're always sharing. So that was a massive turning point for us. I'm going to show you these books at the end. So what we did was, as I said, I spent 3.5 years putting this together and then translating it into an induction program. And the reason why I did this is because we have this is a small business. Up until now, all of the knowledge of the business was inside my head, and it needed to come out, because if your business is not system dependent, it'll be dependent on you. And I didn't want it to be dependent on me. I needed to know that when I'm outside that door, that the lads they can work and operate the same as if I'm here. The culture is, nothing changes. It's just how we do things these days. So your people and your business are a reflection of you, and you alone. As a leader, you have the vision, and it's up to you to manage that vision with the team. And you have to define the culture before it defines itself into something you don't recognize. It is so easy for cultures to mutate. And then one day, as a business owner, you walk in and you do not recognize your business, your baby. You've no idea how it actually got to this point. So you have to manage it, and you have to mind it, and you have to turn up. But if the culture is one that everybody is on board with, and you're all going towards the same common goal, you all share the same values, it's so much easier to manage a business when you've got that behind you. The induction program that we do, the induction program is done with any new people who come into ICON. And they're given the knowledge, because that's just, they have to know, it's communication. So they will know how we do things in ICON. It's an amazing tool, because it's very easy to find out who now fits into the culture of ICON, who has the same beliefs and values as we do. So that to me is a godsend. Okay, so this is what's actually in our training manual. And this is all broken down into assessments. So you have everything from like what makes us ICON, our mission, vision, everything. All the way, it filters all the way down to the client's journey, our standards, and then how to succeed and progress. It's 72 pages, but it's a living document. We will be adding to that all of the time, adding, changing. It's a living document. It's really important from the beginning that, you know, the new people who are coming to work for you really understand what they're actually buying into. I definitely do believe in that culture now of hiring slow and firing fast, because now we have benchmarks as to this is how we do things. If it's not how you want to do things, well, then that's fine. It isn't a fit for you, and I'm okay with that. And everybody, you have to be okay with that. You have to be brave enough to go, okay, yeah. I often say, we're on this journey, we've got the ship. And a lot of the times, like, the culture will shift and change. But if you're not rowing, you're going. So you've got to be in there. You've got to be part of the team. Okay, so this is just the start of the book. I'm going to keep on going. So, Angie, can I have a time check there? 13, right, okay. So, bedrock or slippery slope. What do I mean by this? So, where are you now? If you did a self-audit of yourself, or your company, or your team, do you have a clear, defined vision? Do you know what you want and where you want to take your team and your vision? Sorry, and your business. See? Okay, in the mission statement, does every member of your team know how they can contribute? What are they committing to? Does it reflect your core values and your guiding principles? Or is it just corporate wallpaper? Is it something that's stuck up on the wall somewhere and nobody looks at it ever again? Does every member of your team know their values? The values of the company. The values of the company are the bedrock. That's why they're so important. They're what you sit every single thing else on. So the values are the bedrock. The culture that comes from those values are the landscape. And the culture has to be a culture that moves and shifts and is adaptable to situations. Like, I've seen some companies and they go, oh no, that's not how we do it, or that isn't our culture, or no. Like, culture, if it is like the landscape, think about it like the seasons, how it subtly changes. Or it could be a landslide. The pandemic is a landslide. Our culture made us come together more. We trained more. We saw we could connect more and we could do things together. And through sitting and talking about how the pandemic affected us, we now have changed and adapted how we do things in Icon again. We've now created more of a work-life balance. You know, Maria, one of the stylists, said to me, you know, Val, you might just take a look at another model that I'm looking at. And what they've decided to do is move all their late openings. So Icon would always be open late Thursday and Friday and 6 o'clock on Saturday. Because we've realized that what motivates our team and what's really, really important to them is family time, their own time, you know. So what we've done now is we've shifted all of our late evenings to the start of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And we finish early on Friday at 6 and we finish at 3 o'clock on Saturday. And that's because we were able to adapt, and it's because we were able to communicate together as a team. We figured out what's important to us and then we moved on again. So guys, for me, these are the back pages of our induction program. And it really is a case of, you know, it's when you're doing the induction with in order for the culture to actually keep to be sustained within your business, go back to the very start, the backstory. It walked out the door. That time when I came in and I apologized to the lads, that was my why. I wanted to develop a business that, you know, everybody could invest in, all the standards, everything would be there, but it would have a culture that could keep going no matter what. Because it was embedded in strong values that everyone knew, everybody was inducted. Nobody didn't know. And once the induction is finished, then we all change and develop again together, just like we did after COVID. We do it as a team. And that's just the ethos of how we operate in Icon. And I am so proud of each and every one of them, because they're just amazing. They're an amazing team. And I'm so proud of them. And we've traveled the long road, but I do feel that as somebody who's managing a team or a company or on your own, these need to be carved into your soul. Why you're doing it? What's the plan? What are the values? Does everybody know? Have you put systems and processes around every single thing that you do? Your business should be able to operate in exactly the same way that it would do if you and your team were taken off over to Spain, over to Dave's place, and a spaceship came in, and aliens that looked like us took over, they would pick up our manual and they would be able to work the salon the way we always do. So, guys, I'm going to see if I can get out of here now. And a second there now. Okay, now there's probably lots more that I've left out and stuff. What time is it, Ange?
We have 20 to 2.
Guys, I have probably left loads out. I hope that I have given you a taste of our journey. As far as, I suppose, the key things to take away from this would be, you do need to establish your why. And I think for a lot of the time, for me, for years, that was so vague. I hadn't nailed it. Once I'd nailed it, I'm like a mama bear with it. You know, I don't compromise. That's what, now, don't get me wrong, you know, you can't be rigid, but like my values won't change. Do you know? The vision that I have won't change. It'll change subtly, but it'll always be to, you know, for the best, like, it'll always be team orientated. It'll always be for the best standards. It'll always have, you know, that direction. Get it out of your head. If it's your business, put yourself in a position that you're not vulnerable, that you literally, this is how we do things in everything. It took me 3.5 years sitting on that couch. This is how we breathe. I literally went into that much detail. And then train your team. Get your induction program in. Let them know from the very beginning what your expectations of them are, and tell them what they can expect from you. You need to be that company that people want to be part of, that there's a pride in there when they say where they're working. So there's a lot of moving parts in that, lads. And for me, it was such a huge, huge, huge thing that, like, I did kind of back away from it for a while. But you've got to start somewhere, do you know? And you've got to start putting down. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, but once it's done, there's no better feeling. And all you do then is add to that and grow it and develop it. Okay, so guys, I'll only start waffling now, so I'm going to ask Angie if she wants to unmute, and if anybody wants to come in and say anything. Or
There's some questions in the chat.
Okay.
So Colette had a question. She said, how often do you review things like mission, values and culture? Once agreed, does it stay that way forever? And what's best practice is regarded from your experience?
Okay, go back to the start again now.
So how often do you review things like mission, values and culture?
You see, the culture is ongoing. The culture is happening every single day. Do you know, I mean, once our values are in place, like, I suppose, what's the best way of, it's every single day. Every single day you're managing and minding the culture. Reviewing it would be like what we did after COVID. Do you know? It's about sitting down, and I suppose we've got a very open thing here that, like, if something isn't working, the lads aren't slow to tell me. Do you know? And I will listen, and sometimes I go with it, sometimes I don't. It's not a case that we review it on a kind of like a 6-month review. It's a more of an organic thing. We're managing it and minding it all of the time. But what I would say is I address things. literally, if Maria's in there now, she'll go, right, chap, the lads will bring something to me. I won't let something go now if it's going to affect the values and the mission. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
It's Dave here. As promised, if I could just quickly add to pick up on what you said earlier, and I think when you mentioned COVID as an example, that I think sometimes, like certainly with clients like you guys and others that I've worked with, like sometimes it's to do with stage, like that the company is at a certain stage or a certain point where maybe some of the stuff, you know, was in place but not succinctly enough, as in the case with your values and stuff. And then to your point, absolutely, something like COVID, you know, which to be fair is the first time, you know, we're facing something like this on a global scale. You know, it may really kind of take looking at, you know, all of the vision, mission and values, but it may be tweaks, you know, as opposed to complete redesigns would be required. So I think to absolutely echo your point when you said that, like it can be maybe either stage or something, you know, significant, like from a transformation perspective happens, versus it being maybe like an annual thing or something. It could be more organic.
Exactly. Thank you, Dave. Anything else, Angie? Anybody else want to say anything?
And Colette was wondering what the best practices from your experience for, I think what she means, you can correct me, Colette, if you're there, you can unmute yourself, for reviewing your mission, your values and your culture.
Again, it's organic. Like if it's not working, we'll find out straight away. Do you know, I mean, the lads, I'm looking at Maria here now. Maria wouldn't be slow at coming, she's not backwards at coming forwards, do you know? And that's what I love about my team, that they're so invested in the culture and in the mission that like they're as mama bear protective as I am. So we self-manage and we tweak when we need to. So yeah, there's no 3 months, 6 months as in best practice. It's best practice every day. And if it needs to change, we discuss it. And it could be a good change or it mightn't happen, but we do it together as a team. So yeah. Sorry if I'm being a bit vague. Anything else, guys?
I think we have all of the questions from the chat. Yeah, perfect. So unless anyone else has any questions.
Annie?
Hi, Calvin, how are you?
How are you, Pat? Good to see you.
I feel likewise. Just a question. When you, I suppose, ripped up the book and started all over again with the second team, so to speak, when you were sitting down to develop the values and the missions and whatever, were they included in that process, or was it more about you pouring out the thoughts in your head and then getting them to buy into that?
Okay, say, Angie, can you hear Alvin there?
Is that better?
A
Yeah.
little bit.
So just when you were writing your values and missions and your, I suppose your why,
Okay.
was it more of you pouring out of your own head onto paper, and or were the team involved in that process as well? Or if they weren't, how did you then get them to buy into your thoughts and your why?
Okay. So the vision was in my head. So the vision was a real deep-rooted thing for what I wanted my business to become, right? So, and that came before the plan. That came before the values or anything like that. I just knew what I wanted, where I wanted to take the team. Do you know what I mean? So I had a vision as to what the business looked like, what the environment looked like for the team, how, like, I wanted them to be happy, to be all of that. That was my vision. The values have to come from the collective, all of us as a team. Okay? So I suppose that's why working with Dave that time, like, as I said, we had 13 values. So like if Maria, if I said to Maria, what are our values? No way. I wouldn't be able to tell you at 13. And that's what Dave was saying. But we had discussed that. We had already had a meeting about that. So all of those things that were important to the team were all there. And they were all virtually kind of like the same. Do you know what I mean? It was, I could list them out now to you, but that came from what's important to them. And really, we were all aligned in those 13, but Dave helped us to condense it into really that tight that we fought for. Like, I remember Dave's face at one stage. There was like raised voices. And he was like, "Holy God!" But they fought for those 3, and that made it even more powerful, and it gave it so much more strength. Do you know? So definitely, and that's why I'm saying that was a real turning point doing that workshop with Dave, because the values would have become corporate wallpaper. They actually would have. Because none of us would have been able to remember it unless we went over and checked the book.
Yeah, no, agreed. No, that's how I'm trying to figure out how you get people bought into it. Because I mean, I've been involved in situations where you're trying to change a culture, and it just doesn't happen because the culture is already there. It's inbuilt, it's ingrained, and irrespective of what you say or how you say it or how many posters you put on the wall, nobody's going to buy into that.
I know. It is, like, I suppose I'm lucky because we're a small team. Do you know what I mean? And I suppose coming from me, the vision, it kind of helps kind of steer that ship a little bit. Whereas if the culture is already there, then and you're coming into it, it's a hard one to shift, but you have to take a stand somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And you have to start somewhere, and you have to, your vision for it, if there's things that aren't aligned then to that, you nearly have to take that kind of step. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, this is your webinar, so I'm not going to talk too much here.
Yeah.
I would agree absolutely. I mean, you guys had done so much pre-work, and it just became really a case, as I'm calling it, connecting the dots. Hence the name of my company, of really just making it more succinct, so that it became living values, again, as opposed to 13 maybe listed in a book, or even on a wall. But the team, like, it did get very lively within the workshop, because there was real passion in the team, for picking the right 3 that really captured for them, what Icon was and is, and even more so what they wanted to dial up going forward, I would say. So absolutely, they were very vocal and very passionate, and for me, it was definitely the right 3. Based on what I was seeing and hearing, and knowing some of the individuals personally as well.
Yeah, I think Alvin, it depends on whether you can afford to. It only you know how far and how hard you can drive that within the company. Do you know what I mean? Is it a kind of like, this is how we're doing it. This is our code of conduct, which reflects our values, which in turn creates our culture. So what you're doing, is that reflecting our values? Do you know what I mean? Like, your behavior is not reflecting what we're about. So then that's the hard decision. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, it's an easy decision. If you're not rowing, you're going. That's it. And Maria and the team will literally call me on it. Do you know? They will go, "No, we have fought long and hard to create," do you know what I mean? This, and as I said, they are as protective of our culture, our values, our mission, as I am. you know, because they're bought in. And it doesn't happen overnight, Alvin, but it has to start with, I think, creating the code of conduct first. Do you know what I mean? What's acceptable? What is a respectful response? Do you know what I mean? You know, how do we want to behave towards each other? What do we want to come into work? How do we want that to look like? And starting up that conversation, and then getting people to commit to the code of conduct. Once it's given a bit of oxygen, then you could start maybe developing it then into the values. Do you know? You can't just come in and go, okay, these are our values, these are our da 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 da. Do you know? That's how I would work it. Because, you know, nobody likes change, but at the same time, you know, if you have a common idea as like how you want me to treat you and how you want to be treated by, that's the first step, I would think.
No, agreed. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, everyone. I see his boxes. Okay. Have I done a lot of waffling? Maria will be on to me anyway in a minute.
That was brilliant, Val. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Angie. And Angie, thank you so much for all of your help. Is there anyone else that, oh, can I just show you my books or babies? I'll just be 2 seconds. So I'm laughing. My team have virtually given birth to these as much as I have. So this is our manual and everything in it. Like this is just every single thing that we do in the salon. And as I said, it's a living document. And then this is our induction booklet. And it's very much kind of, you know, it's really kind of like introducing you into the company and, you know, kind of gives you a sense of what we're about at the very beginning, do you know? And then at the very end, you have all of these induction, like assessments. And all I'd say to any new people coming in is like, they're there just to make sure that like, you know what's going on. They're not there to kind of catch you out, but it's just to make sure that you're on the same page as everybody else. Because sometimes I think that's what happens, you know? You're left for 6 months and then, you know, you're wondering like why it didn't work out.
No, absolutely. You're assumed to be onboarded, but yeah.
Yeah. So this book is brilliant. Oh, thank you, Derish. Anything else, lads?
Thank you.
No, Maria? Guys, thanks a million. Thank you so much for turning up. Yeah. I actually have to say I nearly had a banger.
Thanks a mil, Val.
Thank you, Angie. I was on to Angie just beforehand going, I actually can't do this. Can't do it. Can't do it now. But it's done. And I hope I kind of gave you an insight into how we developed our team and our culture and how important it is to us and how we do protect it and mind it. And I think that's a really important thing. You know, it has to be nurtured and it has to be looked after. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, so lovely. See you all.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye,
Guys.
Val.
Bye.
Thanks, Val. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dave.
Bye.
Bye, Maria. See you, Natasha. Oh. See you, Sam.
Hi, Val. How are you? See you. Thanks so much. It was really good.
Thank you, my love.
And I actually asked a question, but I don't think it came up, and I actually didn't know how to put it up properly. But it was something along the lines of like, would you ever consider like helping someone else mentor in their business?
Yeah, Sam, I'm looking into that, and what I'm doing as well is I'm looking into developing a kind of like a template for salon owners and small business owners, that they could actually kind of work their way through this, because it shouldn't, like, it took me 3.5 years, but that was because I had to ask myself, I had to find all the questions that I needed to ask myself and then answer them. Whereas I am looking into doing either a software where there's templates or some kind of thing, because essentially it's what I want. I want it to be easier for salon owners or small businesses to develop.
And I obviously developing their own business, not copying someone else's, but maybe that you could look at their business and maybe help them out.
Exactly. Like, you know, the template would be there just but for you to populate it. Like, you would put in everything that's, you know, relevant for your business. And definitely we'll be getting on to David D.
Yeah,
say,
perfect.
Do some courses.
Thanks for that.
All right, Sam.
Bye. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.